You've seen it happen. The best player on the pitch, the one who makes it look effortless in training, who never misses in the warm-up, who carries the team for 90 minutes, and then the penalty. The free throw, the final shot, and something goes wrong that has no business going wrong. It wasn't the pressure from the crowd. It wasn't the stakes. It wasn't nerves in the way most people think about nerves. It was their brain, doing exactly what brains do when they feel something important is happening. Taking over, stepping in, trying to help, and in doing so, destroying everything. Here's the thing nobody tells you about elite performance. Your brain is not your teammate. Under pressure, it becomes your biggest opponent. And the science behind why that happens is one of the most fascinating and counterintuitive discoveries in the history of sport. To understand it, you have to go back to the beginning, to the moment you learned to do anything physical at all. When you first learned to catch a ball, every part of the movement was conscious. Where your hands were, how fast the ball was coming, how to angle your palms. Your brain was narrating every single step, consciously directing each movement one at a time, burning enormous amounts of attention just to do something simple. And then something happened. You practiced, and practiced, and practiced. And slowly, without you realizing it, that conscious narration went quiet. The movement stopped being something you thought about and started being something you just did. It moved from your conscious mind down into your body, into the automatic system, the part of you that doesn't think. It just executes. This is what skill actually is, not talent, not natural ability. Skill is a movement or a decision that has been practiced so many times it no longer needs conscious thought to run. It runs itself, faster, smoother, and more accurately than your thinking mind could ever consciously direct it. Psychologists Richard Masters and John Maxwell spent years studying exactly this process. They called it reinvestment, the tendency, under pressure, for the conscious mind to try to reinvest itself back into a skill that has already been automated, to take back the controls, to narrate the movement again the way it did back when the skill was first being learned. And reinvestment, they found, is catastrophic. The moment a professional footballer consciously thinks about the mechanics of their penalty kick, where their foot connects, how their body is angled, what their follow-through looks like, they are essentially trying to manually fly a plane that was already flying itself perfectly. Every thought they add is interference. Every instruction their conscious mind sends is a disruption to a system that was working flawlessly without them. The result is what sports scientists call choking. But choking isn't a collapse of ability. The ability is still there. The skill is still there. Every automated movement pattern, every hour of practice, every perfectly executed repetition, none of it disappeared. What happened is that the wrong part of the brain tried to run it. Think about something you do every day without thinking. Walking downstairs, typing on a keyboard. Now try to consciously think about every individual movement involved. Your foot placement, your weight distribution, the specific angle of each finger. What happens? You slow down, you get worse, you stumble. Not because you lost the ability, but because you directed conscious attention at a system that functions best when you leave it alone. This is exactly what happens to elite athletes in the highest pressure moments, and it explains something that has confused sports fans for generations. Why the best players sometimes fail at the simplest tasks. Why a goalkeeper with thousands of hours of practice dives the wrong way on a penalty they would have saved in training. Why a basketball player who hits free throws automatically in warm-up suddenly can't replicate the same motion when the game is on the line. The stakes made their brain wake up. And a brain that wakes up at the wrong moment is a brain that interferes. But here's where it gets interesting. Because not everyone chokes. Some athletes perform better under pressure than they do in training. They seem to thrive exactly when everything is on the line. And the difference between those athletes and the ones who choke is not talent. It is not mental toughness in the vague motivational sense that coaches talk about. It is something far more specific. It is where their attention goes. Researchers studying clutch performance found that elite performers under pressure have learned consciously or unconsciously, to keep their attention external rather than internal. Focused on the target, the ball, the basket, the outcome, not on the mechanics of their own body. They have trained themselves to trust the automated system and stay out of its way. Kobe Bryant talked about this. Michael Jordan talked about this. The greatest performers across every sport describe the same mental state in their best moments. A kind of quietness, a feeling of things happening through them rather than being controlled by them. What sports psychologists call flow, what athletes call being in the zone. And what the zone actually is, when you strip away the mysticism, is the conscious mind stepping back far enough to let the automated system run without interference. Your brain is not your biggest opponent because it is broken. It is your biggest opponent because it cares too much. Because it reads the pressure of the moment and decides this is too important to leave to the automatic system, even though the automatic system is the only thing that can actually do the job. The best athletes in the world are not the ones who think the clearest under pressure. They are the ones who have learned to think the least. Next time you watch a penalty, next time you see an elite athlete in the highest pressure moment of their career, watch where their eyes go. Watch whether their routine changes. Watch whether they look like they are thinking, because the ones who perform best are the ones whose conscious mind has learned the hardest lesson sport has to teach. Get out of the way and trust what you built.